Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. We are thrilled to be back with another webinar session / workshop, because it's really interactive. I don't want to just call it a webinar, all about websites. So we're going to give everybody just a minute or so to sign on, and then we will be getting started. If you are just joining, I would love to know if you wouldn't mind sharing maybe in the chat, what would you most like to learn today about how to take a look at your own website and determine, whether it's doing a good job? Is there something in particular you would love help with, whether it's the messaging, whether it's the photos you're using, whether you maybe are like, how do I get more people to schedule a time on my calendar or give up their email for my guide or my, ebook? Let us know in the chat what you really want us to focus the most time on, because this is all for you and we are in charge. We can do whatever we want. We can spend more time on certain things. So let us know in the chat what would be best for us to maybe spend the most time with. And while we're letting everybody sign in, just a couple housekeeping items. Today's session will be recorded because we know that's the number one thing everyone will ask. And you're all going to get the recording. So you do not need to worry about if you have to step away or anything like that.
All
Susan,
right, I
are we
can
seeing some good things in the chat here?
Yeah, there's definitely 3 themes: getting people to the site, converting them, emails, and capturing emails, getting leads, and messaging.
Okay, good. I will say we are not focusing today on getting traffic there. That is, really what happens before they get to the website. And that involves a lot of other elements. Maybe that's a good, for our next website session that we do, Susan. But today is really going to be focused on, once someone is there, what do we do? Because 97% of all website visitors do not convert. So a lot of times it's not that you even need more traffic. It's just that you have a leaky hole there and we need to fill it.
Yes.
So we'll make sure we focus on the other 2.
And I think, another question that's come in that just makes me think about a way to position some of your advice. The question was, you're amazing, Sam, but how do I know that FMG is going to be able to help me provide the content that differentiates me? And I think we do want to maybe clarify, and this relates to the Bob Barris webinar I did last week, which is what a vendor can do, and also what really is something that only you can do. And this is what we're going to try to help you with.
Yes. Such a good question. And we will make sure we differentiate that. And I see another person had a question about, if I have somebody else, through my broker dealer or through a third-party marketing group that I'm already using, how much of this is going to pertain to me? A lot of it, because we're still going to give you really good takeaways that you could go to them and say, hey, let's take a look at these things that I learned. So let me go ahead and share my screen and get us going here. Susan, can you see the slides? I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I was on mute. Yes, I can see it.
Okay, great. All right, everybody. So for those of you that are just joining us, you're in the right place if you're here to join the Website Fixer Upper webinar. And this is brought to you by FMG, an award-winning marketing suite that has been built just for you, financial advisors. As you can see here, we have a lot of awards we've won over the last few years. Susan and I are not going to go through all of them today, but we do want you to know that it really means a lot to us to provide the best possible platform and service to the advisors using it. And so if you have any feedback for us, we always love to hear it. But we are always staying on top of trends when it comes to marketing, and then thinking about how can we implement them to make our product and service even better for you. If I've never had the pleasure of meeting you before, I'm Samantha Russell, the Chief Evangelist here at FMG. I love to connect with everybody offline as well. So there's my Twitter and LinkedIn and email. And that's just a picture just a month or so ago, a couple weeks ago, I guess, of me and my 3 little kids on Easter Sunday. I have been with FMG over 3 years now, which is hard to believe. And really my job entails staying on the forefront of what is happening when it comes to marketing and actually working for advisors to grow. and then working with our team here at FMG to implement those on behalf of advisors. And with me, I'm so lucky today, I have Susan. Susan, please introduce yourself.
I'm lucky today. I am excited. I can't remember the last time we've done a webinar. I tell my husband, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a webinar with Sam. It's a Sam and Susan show. I love it. These are the ones I enjoy the most, and I am the lucky one to get to work with you. So I also would love to connect with everybody, and thank you so much for joining.
Awesome. And just because you came and made time today, you all are going to get this website success checklist sent to you and a follow-up as well. So again, if you have somebody else on your team who's working on your website, this would be a great thing to send to them, and make sure that you're going through all of these areas. All right, so if I were to ask you, what do you think the most visited page of your website is? You would probably guess that number one is the homepage, right? That's where most people visit. So that is what you really want to always start with when you're thinking about that first impression that your website is making. And so to make this a little bit more fun today, and actually let us know in the chat, did any of you that are here, were you here for the last website fixer up where we did in February? Let us know. I'd love to know if we have any repeat viewers. But we did this exercise. We're going to do it again because it's really good. The more you do it, the better you get at it. And it's called the 5-second test. Susan, I can't see the chat. Are people, anybody repeat?
Yes, no, kind of, I'd say 50-50.
Okay.
A little more on the no.
So before you're thinking about sending more traffic to your website, right? We talked about that leaky hole. We want to ask ourselves, does my website pass the 5-second test? So what the 5-second test is, it is a little test we use in marketing, user experience, that helps us to determine, is our website making the first impression that we want, or are people going to click away? Because people really within 5 seconds make a decision, is this the right site for me? Do I keep exploring or do I click off, right? So it's crucial to make a great first impression. So the way the 5-second test works is you're going to get out, your laptop, your phone, depending, and you're going to ask somebody. This could be maybe an acquaintance, somebody that you're always working next to in a coffee shop, somebody in the same building that your office is in, but somebody who doesn't really know what you do. They can know you work in finance, but they don't know anything else. And you're going to open up your page and you're going to show it to them, count to 5, and then close it. And then you say, just want to ask you a few questions. And you're going to ask them, what do you remember seeing? What was the name of the company? What is this page about? Who does this service or this company serve? Who benefits from their service? And then do you know what you should do next after visiting that page? And you want to write down what they say. Optimally, you want to do this about 10 times. And then you want to look and see if about 80% of people pretty much know Samantha Russell is a marketer. She works specifically with financial advisors, and she can help them with websites, social media, email, and specifically she works with FMG. Then you did a good job. But if it's like, well, I think Samantha's in marketing, I'm not really sure who she serves, right? There's a lot of question marks. We know we have a lot more work to do to get more specific. Okay, does that make sense for everybody? Everybody on the same page? So I'm going to give you a couple other tips about making these audits, and then together as a team, we're all going to do them a couple together for some of the sites that you all have been so gracious to submit. And I think it's just a great way for us all to identify together what could change. So once you've done that 5-second test, you want to hone in on the copy and the imagery, because remember, if you look at this page or any website, if we go back to this one, the first thing you notice typically is the image. So in this one, the construction in the background. In this one, these two gentlemen. The image is what we even subconsciously process first, and then we read the copy. So the copy and the image need to work together to convey that message of whatever it is you're trying to say. And then the UX of what do you want someone to do next? UX stands for, by the way, user experience. Do we want someone to schedule a call or click a learn more button? What do we want them to do? And when it comes to the copy, we really want to be writing the way people talk. My tip is to think, could, a kid in your house who's 14 or 15 understand what it is that you wrote? And if they can, then you're on the right track, because, you know, people are busy. They're coming to your website. They're not in the mindset of you as the financial advisor. They are the consumer that is in a completely different industry. So we want to keep it really, really easy and focused. And I like to use you statements rather than we or I. Another thing we're going to do as we look through these websites is look and see how much of the language is written as our firm has been around since 1975, or we have a combined 35 years of experience, or we do this, or we do that, versus you have a lot going on with your finances and you need somebody to help you understand the full picture, or you worry about putting your kids through college and helping your, you know, parents as they're living longer, right? Those you statements, the more you statements we can do, the better.
Yes. I feel like that's a really easy way to audit your website too. And as we look at websites, I would say more often than not. So if this is the case, it's nothing to be, you know, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this. I'd say the vast majority, really, definitely over 50% of websites that we look at are we statements, because you're talking about what you do, and that's natural. But the ones that resonate the best with your visitors are the ones that relate to them. So it's,
and that's why I think having it in a way that's question-based, which I'll just skip forward to this one real quick. Our services help you answer the following questions, right? What questions do people come to you having? Use those right on the homepage of your website to help people self-qualify, because that is a really easy way to change it and make it all about them. But this is the last thing I want to do, and then we're going to go in and do this 5-second test together, which is making sure that on your homepage, somebody would be able to know within 5 seconds if you help someone just like them. And a lot of you might say, well, Sam, Susan, we just don't have that specific of a niche, right? We don't just serve physicians, or we don't just serve women going through divorce. Like, we've got a lot of different people. You can still make people feel seen by just getting more specific. So let's compare these two statements, right? We help businesses, families, and individuals plan, set, and achieve financial goals. That's everyone. Nobody feels like reading that statement, oh, Samantha and Susan work with people just like me. But let's juxtapose that to the statement on the right with retirement planning for individuals 50 and over. That's a lot of the population, right? Like, that's still actually very broad. But if you're over 50 and you need help planning for retirement, you're immediately going to go, oh, that's me. That's allowing someone to self-qualify. And then they have 401k solutions for businesses with 50 to 200 employees. So this, again, is still very, very broad, but just by adding a couple of those tweaks, you make people feel like they're able to say, yes, this business works with people just like me.
Sam, I've got a question. I've seen websites that have I think you call it like their banner rotates, and they have a carousel so that they are speaking to different audiences. And sometimes they accomplish that in sort of the second block. You know, they have a hero, but they, you know, who we serve kind of thing. What do you think about that, where, you know, people do serve multiple niches and they want to articulate that on the homepage somewhere, and they're using either a carousel or different ways to do it, as opposed to just focusing on one?
I think if I would still make some sort of statement that is one statement that everyone sees on the homepage, and then below it, you could get more into the nitty-gritty. And the reason being is, how many times, Susan, have you landed on a website and sat there and waited for the banner to scroll through and look at each one? Right? Like that.
I agree.
That.
Yeah.
So if you have maybe a button that shows them to click through, you might get more people doing it. But most of the analytics I've looked at is that people just start scrolling, right?
Yep.
So I would instead have a statement that outlines the benefits that everybody you work with is going to get. So maybe everyone you work with is going to get help reducing their taxes, or trying to reduce their taxes. I know you got to be careful about complying with
the tax one.
But you know, with tax planning, they're all going to discuss with you strategies for income and retirement. And so you can kind of bucket some of the benefits, and then below it go into the individual types of clients you serve.
Yeah, I was thinking, one of our associates is on. I wonder if we can share our list of messaging options, sort of before and afters. But if you think about something that is common is how your clients feel, which is they have a level of anxiety about their finances and their goal, achieving their goals. They, want somebody to assess their sort of progress against their goals, whatever it might be. Those use statements are things that can be the common denominator. And then I think we'll get into it later, but a best practice is a who we serve up on the nav. And that's the way that you can kind of, because I
Yes.
think most people don't serve one tiny niche. So they see this advice and they're like, but I can't do that. You can come up with the common, really pain point that you're solving for the customer, put that in a you phrase so that you're relating to how they feel. And then the who we serve can, enable you to map out a number of different niches.
Right. Oh, I love that. So we talked about rating how people talk, and this actually, I'll just show this too before we get into the assessments. If you do serve again, kind of larger buckets, right? So we serve retirees and pre-retirees, which again can feel like everybody's hoping to retire someday. I love this language that this site has done, right? So they have, if you're in your late 40s to early 50s, let's establish your plan to get to the next chapter. Here's some questions you might have. And if you're in your 50s and 60s, here's how we can help. So it's still very broad, but they've narrowed it down, and somebody reading this is going to say, yes, these are the questions I have, right? So this is a great way to, again, get more specific.
Yeah. And how do you like that? Another way I've seen people do it, is more defining the niche, business owners, retirees, school teachers, things like that. Do you like segmentation by sort of labels, or do you like segmentation by age and or, the problems that they're facing?
I think both can work, honestly, which is probably a helpful answer for somebody who wonders which is better. I think the answer is, when you think about your own audience, what's the most natural segmentation for them, and what's going to allow you to create the most targeted messaging? And that's what I would choose. So for some people, they can't do it by occupation, or some people can't do it by stage of life. So you have to kind of pick and choose depending on that. Okay. And then this is one other thing I just want to point out. I see a lot of websites sent to me who have walls of text. We do not read a website the way we read a book, and we're really scrolling and scanning. So when we're looking at these sites together, I want you all to be thinking about, is it easy to scan it and find what you're looking for? Do they use icons or columns or images to break up the text? Okay. So we're going to come back to this one. Let's go open up a site together. Okay. So here is the first one. Can you see this, Susan? It should say Great Stone Wealth.
Absolutely. Very pretty.
So everybody take a look at it. I'm going to count to 5. And then I want you in the chat to tell me what are some things that immediately stick out to you about this website when you're doing this 5-second test. Remember who they are, who they serve, or what they do, I'm sorry, and who they do it for. And then what's that next step that someone should take. Okay. People are noticing that they are serving women. And you're getting that they're serving women because of the image, not because of any copy, right? That's what people are saying. A lot of people are saying not
Men
sure.
not allowed.
Men not allowed. I love it. They serve professional women. So again, this goes to show you with images, there is no copy saying anything about women, but that's the sense that everyone is getting from this site. Someone said, I don't see this as a homepage for finances. That's interesting. So we're all getting kind of different feedback. What about you, Susan? What's one of the first things you notice?
I think the get started really jumped. So I would give them compliments on the CTA. But I think there's room for improvement in who we are and who we serve.
Yes. One thing I will say that I see a lot, do you all notice something? Nobody's mentioned this. Right here, their logo or their name, Great Stone Wealth. And then down here, they say introducing Great Stone Wealth. People do this all the time where they repeat the company name twice instead of using, this is called the hero text of your website. It's the hero of the story. This is your most important text on your whole page. you want it to knock it out of the park. If you're spending time making website edits, this, what I have highlighted, is what you should spend the
Yes.
most time editing. So we don't want to just reiterate our company name. We want to put there some power statement, right? That tells us what they do and who they do it for.
And I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a shameless FMG plug, which hopefully is also a benefit for some people. Like updating a website seems like that's a big undertaking. Like, what am I, like all these changes, how am I going to do it? And one thing that was amazing about the joining of FMG with 20/10 is Sam's company had developed a visual editing tool, and we have incorporated that into the FMG website. So just like Sam just highlighted that headline, if you have a new FMG premium site, all you do is go into our dashboard and you highlight it like Sam just did, and you can type in whatever you want. So we want to make it really easy for you to be able to
I could just
implement these suggestions that we have. And also, of course, our team is trained to leverage the best practices in building the sites.
Yes.
But I love that. You're right. Saying who you are when you've got your logo up there, it's kind of, you just wasted the opportunity to say something else.
Right. So I'd say with that page, the homepage does not pass that 5-second test for that reason. And then, as you scroll through, this our approach, right? Where innovation meets tradition in the pursuit of financial excellence. We specialize in crafting bespoke financial strategies that stand the test of time. I would say this is a lot of words that doesn't say much to the average consumer, not to be harsh. I think it's a beautiful site, but I think, again, leading with what does the end person you're trying to serve, what questions are keeping them up at night, what pain point do they have, is going to say so much more to them. I do like that.
And I always like to check myself, even when I'm just writing any kind of marketing copy, and ask myself, would I say that in a conversation?
Yeah.
And if I speak it, then I shouldn't write it. Like, we just tend to get way more formal in our marketing writing, and that's the absolute wrong thing to do. It feels unnatural, but the more authentic and just conversational you write, the better.
100%. So they do have this schedule button that links directly to Calendly. So I give them a thumbs up for that. If you do not have a calendar button on your website, you are missing out, because most people who are visiting your website, they don't want to have to write you an email to tell you why they want to meet with you. It just makes it really easy to have a calendar button directly. Now, this get started button that you noticed, Susan, other people said they didn't notice it as much, which was interesting, but the get started takes them directly to the calendar. One thing, I keep going to this wrong website, sorry. One thing that I did want to point out to all of you, and we are going to talk about this in a second, a little bit more detail, but with your website, remember how I said 97% of website visitors do not convert. So you really want actually 2 calls to action. You want a primary, like schedule a meeting, schedule a call, and then a secondary for all those 97% of people that are not yet ready to book a call with you. How are you going to capture their email so you can continue to drip on them? So that is where having some sort of download or guide or some sort of deliverable is going to be really, really beneficial. But a lot of people will say, well, we have one, and nobody fills it out. And that is probably because you're not doing enough to really show them what they're going to get if they were to download it. So that is giving them, a visual preview of what they will get if they take the time to download your guide or fill out your form. Okay. I'm going to click out of this one and go to another one. Okay. So let's do it again. The 5-second test on this one. So everybody take a look and tell me, who is this company? Who do they serve? What are you noticing? Call to action, imagery. Anyone have any feedback? And it looks like while we're doing that, some people were asking about if you get a lot of
the calendar
in the calendar. And what I have found is that, you either seem to get a lot or none at all, but it is still really easy to just have an assistant or somebody, daily go through and delete all the ones that are not legitimate. And it really allows for a much more frictionless
Yeah, I
conversion.
think the upside is worth the downside, but
That's a great way to say
ideally there is somebody that maybe is confirming the appointments and weeding out the ones that are not ideal.
Right, right. Okay, so in the 5-second test of this, Susan, can you tell who Chartered Wealth helps?
No, but I would click on the Who We Help button, so at least it's in the nav.
Yeah. And they have some different, groups here. So if you click on one, they kind of have that. I'd say there's still a lot of kind of more buzzy, jargony financial advisor words being used versus the words the consumer would use, right? So I would go back to the drawing board when it comes to the copy on this one and really think about how can you make it more about answering the questions that the people that you serve would have. I do love that they have these nice personable pictures of their team. I
Yeah,
looked at a lot of websites where people do not have almost any photos of their team at all. And, one of the things I like to say is people want to see the product that they are buying. And in our profession, you are really the product they're buying. Like they're buying a relationship with you. So the more that you can have photos, you can tell stories, you can talk about how you help people like them, maybe have a little intro video, the more you're going to bring somebody at ease in reaching out to you. So
and I
they've
think
got some
what
photos
what
here.
I'd love to call out here as a best practice, if you scroll up, is these are not, the formal headshot pictures. I definitely see a lot of websites where, the pictures are extremely formal. And I think you agree, Sam, the more natural, authentic, casual pictures will resonate so much more with a prospect, and even, for your repeat customers. It's the real you, not the, stuffy you.
100%. So they do have the schedule a call button, that you can click on. That does take you to a form though, not a calendar widget. And one thing I will say too is, again, people have to be really, really ready to work with you in order to fill something like this out or to schedule a time on your calendar. So how are we going to capture those people who, might just be interested to learn more, but they're not yet ready, right? So I think they have under their resources here some things like financial guidance. This would be a great place at the end of a blog. Somebody's reading a blog post that you wrote about aging parents and caring for them. Instead of just have a question about this topic, you could say, get our guide on, 8 considerations to make when caring for 8 financial considerations to make when caring for aging parents. Something that they're going to give their email to get in return that's related to what you're talking about.
And what do you think about, I think that's a great point, and one that we literally just before we jumped on this webinar, we were talking ourselves about, getting somebody to ask for an appointment is that's a big hurdle. So you want to make it easy for them to engage with you by just giving away valuable information. And on that site, there's a section with the valuable information, but it'd be even better if you're teeing up that valuable information throughout the site, taking them to that page, but even having a call to action on the first page. And I think you talked about secondary calls to action, where it's giving away some sort of valuable information, from the homepage.
100%. So this is an example I had ready to go to show when we're talking about call to actions. You, again, want a primary call to action, which is book a meeting, right? We're not selling widgets or clothes here where we want people to buy things. We want them to book a meeting with us. But for all the people not yet ready to book a meeting, what can you offer them that they would give up their email address in order to get? So this is an example of a secondary call to action from the Sheldon and Company, financial planning company. And they have, they specialize in working with people in the military. And so they say, understand civilian retirement plans. And it's very obvious that they know their audience. And another thing that I love is they're only asking for email and first name. Do not ask for phone number if you want somebody just to download something, if you're trying for the highest conversions possible. Because
what about net worth? I see that one. I'm like, oh,
yeah, no, right?
but I know advisors really
like we're
want
about to be
that.
sold something. That's the whole point, where we just want to get something good for free. we know we're going to get on their email list, and most people are okay with that, but we do not want to give our phone number. So if you make phone number required, the number of people that convert is going to go down. I do love on this one though, you notice he puts military branch there, and that's just like a subconscious cue to help the visitor recognize, wow, this person knows people who've been in the military so well that he knows the nuances between the branches.
And that's not
sort of what it's
required.
saying, but it's
Yeah, I
not
think
required.
everybody knows if it doesn't have the asterisk, you can skip it.
Right, 100%. Then when it comes to these secondary call to actions, another thing that, people just don't think about is you have to tell somebody why they should do it, right? If you don't give them anything they're going to learn, what they're going to get, and you don't title it in an interesting way, right? Look at the difference between find out how to live an inspired retirement. What does that mean? I don't know. Versus retiring as an Illinois teacher. Very specific versus very broad. The more specific you can be about who should get whatever it is you're giving and how it's going to benefit them, the higher your conversion rate will be. I don't know if you've ever seen this, Susan. I see a lot of websites where somebody will say, sign up for our newsletter, and you've just landed on the homepage. You don't know anything about them. You've never written anything or read anything they've written. Why would you sign up for their newsletter? You got to show them what they're going to get beforehand.
And, I think when we talk about having these downloadables or these value add pieces, I think everybody imagines that they've got to write a book. And I'd love to dismiss that and say, it could be a checklist. It can be something that you use with your clients as, things to do before you come meet us. I mean, you probably have these assets and you don't realize that they could just, be slightly differently designed, and they could work as a downloadable. People don't want to read a book, so they'll be perfectly happy with a list of questions to ask us when you come, when you come to meet us, things like that. It doesn't have to be a thesis.
100%. If you have a great guide or checklist or something, tell us in the chat, what is it? And is it working for you? I've seen a lot of people get really good success on anything around taxes, of course, Medicare, Social Security, what to know before you take Social Security for the first time, those kinds of things.
Mistakes are always those seem to get the greatest sort of in email and downloads, mistakes to avoid. I just see a question which is great on video. And if that's something that we're going to cover.
Sure. We absolutely can talk about video. I don't have a lot of websites that were submitted that include video. I actually do have this one pulled up that does have an intro video on it, a big, huge intro video. So why don't we do the 5-second test on this one?
Intro video.
Can everybody see that? Oak 4?
Yes.
Okay. So this is Oak 4, and let's all take a look at this together. This is a company in the UK, by the way.
I was about to say, look at the S personalized with the S.
Yes. So there might be some differences in spelling and or compliance rules that could be a little bit different. So just keep that in mind.
Somebody just said like the hero line. I love that.
Oh, imagine having more than enough for retirement, or this cool. I like both. Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't want that? That resonates big time for me.
Yes. So I haven't clicked on this to watch this video yet. But they do have an intro video right away. And typically, with these videos, a tip is you really want them to be, about 30 seconds, maybe at the most 45, 50 seconds. Not very long for these intro videos. You 100% don't want them on autoplay. You don't want somebody to land and the music starts going and it's loud. And if you're saying something in the video that you think like it's crucial for people visiting your site to know, then you also want to make sure you put it in text, because not everybody might hit play.
What about using captions? Yes or no?
Absolutely. Every time that you have a video, you want to have captions, because a lot of people watch it with the sound off. So one thing I did notice when I came through the site, let's see if anybody spots it. What do you notice about the copy that maybe we could improve, like in some of these sections?
It's teeny.
It is teeny in the paragraphs, and it's, you know, a lot of text.
Yeah.
A lot of people saying too small. Has anybody else picked up on the us? Lots of all about them versus they started off so strong with that tagline that's really focused on the end user, but then they revert back to talking more about
I
them.
do like that their goal is, it says our goal, but the next sentence is all you. So they're,
Exactly.
you know, teetering on perfect.
So they also have these great icons down here that break up the text. So that's really good. And they make their contact information really easy to find. I cannot tell you how many sites have been submitted to me that I could not get in touch with this person if I wanted to. So we definitely don't want to do that. Don't make it hard for somebody to get in touch with you. Okay, let's take a look.
Speaking of, I do see on some websites where they have their phone number up in the nav. What's your thought on that?
I think it could be fine if, you know, I think a lot of times if somebody's Googling, they have on their Google My Business page, it's gonna, or their profile, the phone number comes right up anyway. So if it's like, you want to make it easy for people to call, I usually prefer to put it in the footer because I think people expect it to be in the footer, but
I do too.
the number one thing is you don't want it to get too cluttered at the top.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think the main takeaway that I see, you know, for this is just there's sections
lot
that
of
have
read.
a lot of text that we could really streamline down on and make it, you know, easier. We talked about that scroll and scan. Same thing with their calls to action. All their calls to action are, you know, they're not easily seen buttons that just entice you to want to click on them. And they're sort of buried. And then you don't, like, again, sign up for our newsletter. We don't know what we're going to get for that. How does it benefit me in any way? That really could use, I would guess they're not getting many newsletter signups.
Yes. And I think, you know, 3 calls to action in a row without any buttons or sort of what's in it for you, probably, especially in the footer, those could all 3 be broken out and be their own copy block with more imagery and sort of the what's in it. I think white, and this is definitely a comment coming from people, white text on small font on the purple is a little hard to read, especially, and then those calls to action were purple on purple.
And one other thing I want to point out, when it comes to the navigation of your site, you can be more creative. You don't have to just use about, our process, our values, our mission, right? You can get more creative, like who we work with, how we help X, why you should work with us. Like make it, again, really clear instead of just kind of resting on how everybody normally does it. One thing also to keep in mind is you really should not have more than 5 to 7 main pages. I have seen sites that have 10, 11 pages up here. That's a terrible user experience because people don't really know what's the most important information. We want to guide them through the site. So you want to keep it less options at the top, and then you can always bucket pages underneath.
This is a question, I'm guessing you'll say there's really no perfect formula, but if I were sitting in the seats listening, what comes to mind if I asked you, what do you think are the best 5 navigation titles?
Oh, that's tricky, Susan.
I know, sorry.
It definitely depends. I hate to say that, but you know, I think having something obviously about your team. So
I was thinking that just because I looked at it and they've got services and values, and to me, like some of that, you know, remember you can have sub navs, right? So about, I think, is definitely one that I like because I want to know about you.
Yes, 100%. And actually, the first most visited page on any website is the homepage. The second most visited page is the about.
And so
About our
that
team.
should be the first.
Again, what is the product everybody's buying? It's the relationship with you. So you really want to, you know, pay attention to that page. Blair just shared in the chat, and I'm actually going to click on it and pull it up here. We have this blog post, how to write your financial advisor bio, and there's 5 examples in here. take a look at this, be inspired by it, you know, get ideas, but there's so many different ways that you can spruce up your team or bio page and make it really fun and engaging and tell a story. But this is the second most visited page on advisor websites. So
Oh,
do
and
not
this is
neglect
one
this.
where we want you to use I and we, because we don't want it to be in the third person where Tom has had a wonderful career of it. It should be I.
100%. And I love too, you know, with social proof, a lot of you will tell us, oh, we can't use testimonials yet, or it's hard to do. Or maybe we don't have client testimonials yet. How can we kind of add social proof? Having logos of either places you're associated with or credentialed from, or you know, and I'll show another example, but on your bio page, maybe, you know, you've been featured in USA
As
Today
featured
and
in.
Forbes and Wall Street Journal. That's also another way you can add social proof without needing to add testimonials.
And I will say, Sam, in the last week, I have had 3 different advisors reach out who are starting to do testimonials. So I will take that as a
Sign of
momentum
going in the right
shift
direction.
where it's starting. Yeah. They're
Okay.
starting to get more comfortable. Compliance teams are starting to get more comfortable.
All right, so let's open up this site and I'll look at it together. This is Up Level Wealth, your partner in growth. We build financial plans to help you live well. Again, I think this is beautiful. These are actually the advisors, these 2 women, which I love. They, throughout their entire website, have gorgeous photos. They obviously hired a photographer to come and take photos of them in-house, which is wonderful. But on this homepage here, it still doesn't say who that you is. We build financial plans to help you live well. Who's you? Who specifically do they serve? But they do have this great as seen in section here. Again, if you have been featured in any publications, you want to put that on your website and be able to have that, you know, expertise shown and
Social proof.
Yeah, the social proof. Thank you. So if you scroll through this site, again, there's lots of great photos of them. They have stats and figures about kind of like who they serve. I think
I like their headlines are action statements.
do wealth
That
better,
feels powerful. Yeah.
big. Yep. If we click this get started button, it takes you to this page where they kind of talk about how they work, how they communicate, the process. And then at the very bottom, they have this let's get started button. And then they have the sign up for their newsletter. So this is another one where it's missing that secondary call to action. And I really feel like of the sites we look at, we've hammered it home enough that people have started out adding the calendar widget. We're still not seeing most people figure out how to nail that secondary call to action, which is why a lot of people have a hard time actually generating leads if it's not a booked calendar meeting.
Yep. And I think that might be a point worth emphasizing because lead gen was one of the main things that people want help with. You expecting people to visit your website and schedule a meeting or click the get started button. That's a pretty big jump. So you really have to have that, what we call, you know, top and middle of the funnel content, which are those checklists or how to, or the biggest mistakes, those downloadables where you're asking for a name and an email and not asking for their life story. So that, and they get a piece of value added content in exchange. That's how you capture their email. That's how you nurture them. And then it's about really content marketing, which we spend a lot of time talking about. From the time they download something to the time they will schedule a meeting could be months. It could even be, we hear from people that it's a year, years. And the way that you capitalize and convert them is by dripping on them with valuable email content. So it kind of all has to go together. And unfortunately, it's not I put my beautiful website up and I suddenly am getting leads.
100%. So let's do this other one. And then I see a lot of things coming in the chat. I can't tell what they are, but
what they are is somebody asked if we would review their website live. And so I suggested if people could share their websites with us, we'll add them to our list because this is a series that we're going to do every other month. So everybody's adding, not everybody, but a lot of people are adding their websites so that we can review them in our upcoming in our upcoming website
Okay.
Fixer Upper series.
Well, we'll keep getting through as many more as we can. I'm going to run a tight ship here. Okay. So this is Fiduciary Financial Partners. And this site, I actually saw this one and I think I featured this in one of my other ones earlier, but the retirement planning for individuals age 50 and up and 401k solutions for businesses with 50 to 200 employees. I love that statement. I feel like it is so on point, clear, and, easy to self-identify. And then I love their secondary call to action, right? Get your free assessment. So you can click on this and it takes you to this page where it basically says, it shows you a visual. It's going to give you a tax return analysis, an investment analysis, retirement answers. And then it says the next step is a 20-minute call that will give us both of us a chance to make sure that we are the right fit. Finding the right advisor is just important as finding the right doctor. You wouldn't see a cardiologist for a broken foot, which I thought was cute. So, this site did a really nice job of being super specific. They don't have too much text. They're using a lot of icons. And then one of my other favorite things is case studies.
Ooh.
So if you really want to help people visualize how you are going to help someone just like them, a case study is a fantastic way to do it. And you're nodding your head, Susan.
Yeah, no, I love this, and it hasn't come up and I don't see it that often, but this is exactly when you're talking about you. This is featuring you.
Yes. And so with each of these, you can kind of click on it and it will show, what they did, what the results were, what the challenge was. A really great way to help people sort of visualize that. And then again, you can get your free retirement assessment right underneath. I also love this. Oh,
That's good too.
This is I recognize this. This is actually an FMG site. It must be an FMG site.
Yes, this is definitely
Okay.
an FMG.
So this is actually one of the lead gens that we have, which I love. 59 and a half. Why is this age so important? What a great tagline to try to get people to sign up for something, because anybody that's getting close to that age and they're thinking about finances is going to be interested in that. And then, filling out the get your free guide. So this site is doing a fantastic job. Kudos to whoever at our team at FMG worked on it and to Fiduciary Financial Partners for putting it together. But this is the kind of website you can expect if you come work with FMG. Look at how gorgeous it is. And it checks all the boxes of helping people self-identify, telling a good story, and having great calls to action. And then again,
nice
we have
all the guides that people can use for the downloadables, which it definitely is a plus.
Oh, yes. We offer many to help you. So if you're
Here's
lacking that secondary call to action. Sorry?
How many lead gen placements would you have on a website at any one time? Is there a number?
So if you have a couple different people you serve, right? So if they're serving individuals 50 and over, they'd need one lead gen for that versus another one for businesses that they're providing 401k solutions for. So it's really going to depend on how many niches you have. You don't want to put them all on the homepage though, right? You want to add them kind of as people navigate through your site. If they're on the section of your page where you're talking about, how you serve businesses, then you would put that 401k guide on this page. So that's how you would do it.
Perfect.
Good question. Keep the questions coming. So I know we're getting about 10 minutes from the end here. I'd be remiss if we didn't take a minute to just talk about our website services and how we can help you. These are just some examples. I've included them all in the doc of great website examples that our team has worked on here at FMG. They're all linked, so you can click on them and check them all out. I'm not going to go through all of them, but some really great examples. But we
we keep a gallery. We could just mention on our public website. So fmgsuite.com, there's a website gallery and we try to update it all the time. There are tons of website examples.
There you go. Yep. So if you go to fmg.com under resources, the website gallery, there it is. And we offer now, as Susan mentioned before, we have a sort of a new process that's been rolled out over the last couple year or so, I guess it's been, Susan, the premium website offering. And if you're interested in learning more, we would love to connect with you and talk with you about it. And we'll put let's see here. I'm just gonna show this real fast and we'll go back to the other one, but this is the QR code. You can take a picture of it and it will directly link you to schedule a time with our team, and they can walk through your current website with you, just like I was doing today with Susan, point out things that we would fix, things we would edit, how we can add those calls to action to make your site really capture those 97% of people that aren't staying, the resources and other content we could add to the website, how our copywriting team works to help you with messaging. So
we just gotta, thank you, Neil. There's the last comment in there is DIFM can be very valuable. What's DIFM?
Thank you for the shout out for that. Why don't you talk about this for a second? So
okay. Well, Sam and I, a couple years, I think it's been a year and a half or 2 years ago, we were like, all right, when we present to advisors and talk about best practices, we get off the phone or whatever, and we have, we'll hear from advisors or we get off stage and it's just like, that was really, really great, but can you just do it for me? And so we decided to come up with a program called Do It For Me. And Sam and I brainstormed with we have, a wonderful team of content writers, and we brainstorm every month what would be the ideal topics across blogs and emails and social posts. And then we write them, and literally you're getting Sam and I writing them, as well as our team helping us, and come up with the right images. And then we send it out to our Do It For Me customers in a calendar format as well as in a list format. They have 2 weeks to look at everything, decide if they want to make edits. I'll even suggest, like, these social posts would be great if you put your own photos in. They make edits. They say, it's skip National Siblings Day, but I do like the blankety blank optional post. And then our team does it for you. So back to that, you've got to have a great website, and you need to have those calls to actions to collect the emails. But once you collect the emails, you've got to keep your site up to date and adding content and adding valuable, value adds. And then you've got to drip on them, because just because they visited does not mean they are ready to make a move. This is the second essential part of converting leads from your website.
Yeah, and getting the email address is just one part of the battle. You're definitely not winning the war just because you got the email. I think the thing that I love the most about the Do It For Me program is that we are enabling you to be so consistent with your communication. So people know every time they see your email in their inbox, they're going to get something valuable. They're going to learn something. They're going to get an update on breaking news or legislation. And then if something does happen, right, that you want to call or talk to clients about, we're going to write the piece timely so that in a very short period of time, sometimes it's, 24 hours, you have an email that you can send out addressing whatever it is that they're reading about in the news. So they're not having to say, hey, I read on CNBC this, tell me what's going on. You're proactively getting in front of it.
And does DIFM get pre-approval with compliance? Yes. And everything on the FMG platform is routed through your compliance. So if you, use something, but you make edits to it, that's routing through compliance. But we are sending all of this to compliance teams 2 weeks before the beginning of the month, so that it's approved as is, and then you make edits to it. That's great. And it's just going to route through compliance and go out. So that is pretty cool.
We have some people who use DIFM, they meet with their marketing concierge every month, and they are really, really hands-on. Like, I want to make this change. I want to add this picture for, Thanksgiving of my team. And then we have other people who say, everything's good, just send it as is. So it really, depending on kind of where you're at in your business, or if you have somebody on your team that's devoted to marketing, there's some people that really, really edit a lot, and others that use it right as is.
I'm wondering, just to give people some hope that we will get to their websites, why don't just scroll in the webinar chat and pick one, and we'll just finish on, giving some quick tips.
All right. Okay, what's this one? Johnson Bixby, is that how you would say it?
Oh, cool. I like this.
Serving individuals, couples, and families. You have possibilities in life. We help you realize them with financial planning and
let's ask everybody what they think.
Yes. So
what do you guys like about this?
It's time to do the 5-second test.
I'm going to scroll up just a little. I'm missing the headline there. No, scroll down. I mean, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Here we go. Oh, serving individuals, couples, and families. You have possibilities in life. Did this person just take all of our best practice? Like you literally just randomly chose this? Meet us, good call to action.
I like Anne's comment. I like this. They look like people like me. They do. They don't look like a stock photo. It looks like just a
Yes.
normal couple sitting on the couch.
Neil is happy that they're not walking on the beach or on a boat. We help you realize them. You know what? This is a really nice combination of the headline is you have possibilities, but the subhead is we help you realize them. It's a
Right,
nice,
yeah.
really, I just got chills. That's really nice.
Okay, money doesn't plan for retirement, dream of travel, or map out a new chapter, but
Ooh,
you
what do
can.
you need help with? Well done. Schedule an intro, another good one.
Yeah, I like the icons that they have right here.
This is
Let's see,
excellent.
meet some of our team. So let's just see if we click on an intro
Oh
video.
my gosh.
Love that. Well done.
Great.
That is awesome.
You know what? Why don't, can you reshare this link to everyone? Just, I think this has some great inspiration.
Yeah, I'll put it fresh.
So far,
in
we
here.
haven't given John any good tips.
I
Calculators and
think
insight.
I like this down at the bottom, by the way, this what's it like working with us? That would
I
be
love
a
that.
great statement before you do case studies. So you have some case studies of, the experience people have of working with you, but that's sort of like the headline of what you call it, that
You
could
know
be.
what? I don't know if it's just me. I missed the nav. Like, I don't know if it's the size of the font or the fact that something, I was so focused on the headline that I was actually going to say like, where's the nav? But there it is. And actually the first
Oh,
thing is about us, which is something that we totally recommend. There's a blog. This is really great. I like this
yeah.
infographic there.
It seems very calming too, which I don't know if that was
Yeah.
the intent, but I think sometimes people can be it can be nerve-wracking to meet with an advisor for the first time. I mean, money's emotional, it can be stressful, people put it off. So I like the idea that it's just a very calming site.
Scroll down one more time. We've seen this a couple times. No, to the hero part. Sorry, I don't know if I'm saying scroll down or up, but the word imagine is very, I think it's a really great word to use in copy because it just immediately creates a story and it puts the person in a position of thinking about a what if. So I think that's a great word to think about in your messaging.
Yes. The one thing that I would say, so they do have different calls to actions in different areas. So they have meet us.
Any downloadables?
About that. I was going to say, I don't see a secondary call to action anywhere. So again, so they have a pretty large team here, lots of information, but it seems like really they just have that main call to action, not a secondary. So that is one thing that I would definitely add. If those of you from this firm listening in, if you're like, we love our site, we think it's great, but we're not really getting leads. It's probably because if somebody isn't ready to book a meeting with you, they read all the information and they have nowhere to go. So adding something where you could capture them, some sort of great checklist or guide would be really great. And again, it might be a little harder because it seems like who you're serving is broad, individuals, couples, and families. It's not very specific. So you might need to create a couple different ones for different subsets.
I think you've scrolled down on this one. I think one of the next things was, do you need help with? That could be a place where you have a call to action under each that, has some downloadable about it. I'm not sure where that section was, but there was one where it was like, do you need help with? And each of those could have a, biggest mistakes people make as it relates to that topic.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I can't believe we're already at the top of the hour. That went by way too fast. I know we always wish we could get to more sites than we can, but for anybody who submitted one and who was on the call today, thank you so much for being brave. It's always hard to have your site audited live. If you found this was helpful, please let us know in the chat. If you like the structure, if it was helpful to learn this way, it's not as formalized as a slide deck, but hopefully, just kind of doing it together helps you learn more about website design this way. And we would love to help you. That's what we're here for, me and Susan both. And again, you can contact us, and we would love at FMG to talk with you about your website and marketing.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining. And Sam, your wallpaper's beautiful.
Thank you, Susan. All right, everybody, take care.
Bye, everybody.